Okay, this video has been long in the making, like almost a year and a half at this point. And I've always wanted to do a video on our chickens, on how we name the chickens and all that type of stuff. And I just always procrastinated about it. Then Andrea's new chicks arrived today, so now I feel like I'm forced to. Because Andrea's gonna pretty much abandon the sisters and be all chicks all the time. You heard me.
No, not.
So, anyway, without further ado, all I want to do is the name of the chicken, how we named the chicken, and identifying features of the chicken, any personality quirks of the chicken, etc. So, let's go ahead and begin. Okay, first up is Blondie. Blondie is our lightest colored chicken, and our chickens are Cinnamon Queens, which are half Rhode Island Red, half Silver Laced Wyandotte. And as you can see, Blondie does not really look like a Rhode Island Red at all. So Blondie is named off of a former co-worker of mine who has blonde hair, and her nickname was Blondie. And so that's how Blondie got her name. There's Lacey right next to Blondie. So Blondie's is the only chicken that we have that does not have a toe tag. I know they're called leg bands. I call them toe tags because it's more funny that way. The reason Blondie does not have a toe tag is hers was going to be yellow because of Blondie, but when she was younger, she would not let us catch her at all. Then, when she got a little older, she actually let us started to pick her up, but by that time, our cat, whose name is Loki, decided to take the armband, and now it's gone somewhere. He's a kleptomaniac cat, so who knows where in the world it is. So Blondie's identifying feature is her big comb, and it's so big it flops on both sides. So if she can stay still long enough, you can see it flop one direction and it flops the other direction. So that pretty much is Blondie. All right, next up is Lacey. Lacey got her name because out of all the chickens that we have, she has the most amount of lacing on her. The lacing is the black tips on the feathers. So Lacey's toe tag is white. Lacey is also our smallest chicken. And Lacey's claim to fame is she kind of sounds like a cross between a trumpet and a clarinet. And so when she does her normal talking, where it's not that loud, she kind of sounds more like someone just barely blowing into a trumpet. But then when she's in her I'm pissed off or I have to lay an egg mode, then she sounds more like a clarinet, and it's actually kind of funny. And so she'll be in the coop complaining, and I'm like, Lacey, nobody can take you seriously when you sound like that. I try for a long time to try to get her clarinetisms, and I have never been successful. So that is Lacey. All right, next up is Eleanor. Eleanor is one half of our Salmonella duo. Eleanor, of course, is the Ella part. Eleanor is our biggest chicken, and she's the one that does the biggest eggs. Lacey's eggs is like an off-white. Eleanor's she can routinely do extra large and jumbo eggs. And these are not double yolkers or anything. These are just her regular eggs. Eleanor's claim to fame, or wait a second, her toe tag is like a light grayish color.
Purple.
Oh, Andre says it's purple. with dirt being around it. I can never tell if it's gray or purple, but Andrea says it's like a lavender purple color. And her claim to fame is sometimes when she needs to lay an egg, she will start, I'll call it bellowing, and she's the chicken that a neighbor of ours who, let me pan around, his shop is right there. Let me zoom in a little bit. There, that's his shop right there. That shop is a quarter of a mile away. And Eleanor is so loud, one day he texted me because he could hear her from inside of his shop. And so she can project her voice when she wants to. And I think that is it with Eleanor. We think Eleanor might be the head hen, but we really don't have a clear pecking order, so we really don't know. Okay, next up is Hermione. Hermione was the last chicken that we named, and I wanted to call her the chicken that shall not be named. And Andrea's like, you cannot call a chicken that. For one, it's too long, and two, there was a reference to Voldemort, Harry Potter stuff, and Voldemort was a male, and Hermione's obviously not a male. So I said, fine, I'm going to call her Hermione. And so Hermione has a little bit of lacing on her back, but not that much. Her and Samantha's lacing is about the same. I'll do Samantha next so you understand why I said that. Hermione's toe tag is brown, and her claim to fame is Hermione likes to be the highest chicken. So if anybody's on a perch outside, it'll be Hermione. She also gets on top of the windows when we have them open in the summertime. These windows here, there are bird footprints and bird crap up there, so that's typically Hermione. And her other claim to fame is we were cleaning out the coop earlier this year, and she decided that she was going to lay an egg. So while we were cleaning the coop out, she was in a nesting box trying to lay an egg, and she would not come out, so we just had to do it. Okay, next up is Samantha. And Samantha is our broody chicken. Cinnamon queens are not known for their broodiness, but Samantha likes to buck the trend. And Samantha's coloring is pretty close to Hermione. And if it wasn't for the toe tags, half the time when she's not being broody and out with everybody else, they look very similar, and the only way I can identify them is with the toe tag. Hers is blue, and Hermione's is brown, so you can very easily distinguish between the two. All right, Samantha is the other half of our Salmonella duo. Samantha is named off of a friend of ours who was an architect, but I wanted to have Salmonella. And Andrea's like, well, Sam is a male's name, which means we have to have a rooster. And I said no, because I don't want roosters for multiple reasons. And so we ended up with Samantha. And Samantha's obvious claim to fame is, other than her going broody, she has raised chicks before. She's hatched eggs before. Andrea hopes that with the new crop, she will take them in. And so then Samantha can raise the chicks and not us, which will be better for everybody. But the other thing with Samantha is that when she's not broody, when she's talking, she will literally bellow, which means that she'll do like a full force diaphragm. And she'll just go honk, honk, honk. And it's like she gets it from her entire essence, and she just projects that way, and it's kind of funny. So let me put her back, and that is Samantha. All right, next up is Ern, because she's right here. Ern is named after a former coworker of mine whose nickname was Ern. And the reason this particular chicken is named Ern is because this chicken complains a lot. She is extremely boisterous all the time. And my former coworker is also boisterous a lot. And so Ern is loud and my former coworker is loud. So that was a good fit. Ern is identified because she has a lot of what I call light lacing on her back, which means she has a lot of lacing, but it's just the tips that are black. So, I mean, I'm just standing here and she's complaining, which is hilarious. Her toe tag is green because my former coworker's favorite color is green. The logo to her company was actually green. And actually the toe tag's actually fairly close to the logo color. Ern, yes, Ern. Now Ern got me off track. Ern just got over Bumblefoot. Her right foot had Bumblefoot and she was hopping on it, so we had to give her a chicken spa treatment a few times, and we had to get it out, but it looks like she's going over good right now. And so that is Ern. Okay, next up is Pamela. Pamela is named off of a friend of ours who, when we were naming chickens, we had Blondie, and she's like, well, let's call them the Four Non-Blondies, off of an older band called the Four Non-Blondes. And Andre's like, fine, that's it. You're getting a chicken named after you. So this is Pamela. Pamela has the least amount of lacing of all the chickens. Her toe tag is orange because Pamela, the humans, has red hair. So Andre is like, well, we're going to make it orange. And so Pamela's claim to fame is when we had the nephews earlier this year, which were the chickens that Samantha raised. Whenever they got within like 3 feet of Pamela, she would shoo them away. Some of the other chickens would let them get a little closer, but Pamela's like, I don't want any of this. So I thought that was always funny with Pamela. And so we would tell the human Pamela about the chicken's exploits, and she goes, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, next up is Rose. Rose is named because she has a rose comb. The rose comb is flat, so it doesn't look like a regular comb. And Rose is also the darkest chicken that we have, as in her base color is the darkest. Rose's toe tag, Rose, where'd you go? Rose's toe tag is pink. And when it gets a bunch of dirt on it, it looks real similar to a bunch of other toe tags. But Rose is my curiosity chicken. I actually call her Curious Rose, because whenever we do anything, Rose is right there trying to figure out what we're doing, and we actually have to shoo her away half the time. And Rose's voice and Ern's voice are very similar, except Ern's is a little higher pitched and Rose's is a little lower pitched. So that is Rose. All right, last but not least is ML. ML is named after a nickname of a former coworker of mine whose name is Maria Lee, and so I would call her ML. And so I told my former coworkers I was going to name a chicken after each of them. So we got Ern, we have Blondie, and then we have ML. ML is also a dark base color chicken, but Rose is a little bit darker. But the big difference between the two is where Rose has that flat rose comb, ML has a massive comb and it sticks straight up. Where like Blondie's comb flops around a lot, or Lacey or whoever, ML's comb is straight up. So we have chickens with smaller combs that flop over, so I don't know how ML keeps hers straight up. ML's toe tag is black, and ML's claim to fame is she's our instigator chicken. So she typically gets into trouble. Where Rose is just curious, ML just likes to get into trouble. And see, you can see here on her back right there, you can see a little bit of lacing on the back part. And then that is ML. I'm thinking real quick, make sure I didn't miss anybody, so hold on. Okay, so that is all of our chickens. And the new crop, which we'll get into probably starting tomorrow, we are not officially naming them until they at least get their juvenile feathers. Because typically if you're going to have problems with chicks, you'll have problems in the first few weeks. And so hopefully Samantha is going to be the one that's going to be raising them. And so we can make her have all the fun. But these are the girls. They were born at the end of February of 2023, and it's now the middle of August 2024. So they will be a year and a half old at the end of the month. Cinnamon Queens are production chickens, which means they lay more eggs, but their lifespan can be a little less. Hopefully we give them a good home, so hopefully they can live a nice, productive, and worthwhile chicken life. And so, except for Spot, which we lost at 2.5 weeks, they've all been healthy. So that is the sisters. These are the original 9. Of the nephews that we had that Samantha raised at the beginning of the year, there were 3 of them. All 3 of them ended up being roosters. This is a non-rooster property, so we gave them to a friend of ours, and 2 of them have still survived. One of them got killed, and we're not exactly sure how, or our friend is not exactly sure how, but 2 of them are still alive, and they have kids of their own because our friend has hens, and she doesn't keep them quarantined or anything. What?
She has lots of babies.
Yeah, and so there's lots of babies roaming around now. So our friend, she has an incubator, but she does have a Rhode Island Red hen that does go broody. So some of them were hatched by her, and then some of them were done with incubators. So anyway, this is the sisters. It's starting to get dark now. It's actually getting dark earlier. See, this is Tuesday. So Tropical Storm Debbie actually started a week ago today, and we ended up with just over 12 inches of rain. The rivers are cresting about now, depending on where they are, where the sensors are in the river. Some of them might crest like today, and some of them might crest a few days from now. But pretty much, except for a few roads flooding further inland, everything's pretty much back to normal. It's hard to believe that you get 12 inches of rain and the coop flooded 6 inches in the middle of the rain, and then you wake up the next day and all the water's gone. So that's part of the fun of having sandy soil. Luckily we added a bunch of dirt in the coop, so except where the chickens made chicken craters, nothing got flooded inside of the coop, but there was definitely water all around it. I had a video that I did last week during the height of it. So anyway, enough about the storm. One last look at the sisters, because I'm going to stop the video and then I'm going to start shooing them in.